Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is February 26th, and right now we are looking at the infrared/invisible satellite imagery. You can see the cutoff low we've been dealing with here. It's been weakening over the last few days, still spinning out the coastline. It's still got a few thunderstorms associated with it, and you can see some of that moisture moving back over the area. You can also see what is a cold front dropping down across the area, kind of an inside slider here, and this is what's going to help kick off some of the snow as we go through the day today across some of the Sierra Nevada. There's winter weather advisories out for that, and then we get a big pattern change here as we really drive some cold air down across Alaska, off the ocean here, Gulf of Alaska. It's going to stream into California here. Great snowmaking machine setup here as you drive this cold air across Pacific Ocean. It's the same effect as when you hear about lake effect snows out over the Great Lakes there. You're driving that very cold air over relatively warmer water. It's going to pick up that moisture and slam it back into the state of California. Now, taking a look here, you can see that cutoff low. Again, a few lightning strikes associated out there. Not expected to get in here. Maybe on the day Tuesday, you might get a rogue lightning strike out there with some of that moisture swinging by, but light precipitation amounts expected with that. You can see this cold front kind of driving down from the north. It is fairly moisture starved, but it should drop a few inches across some of the higher terrain of the Sierra Nevada. Now, looking at Eureka, California, you can see as we go on into the end of this week, they do start talking about this heavy snowfall down to 1,500, maybe down to 1,000 feet. Got small hail. There's some lightning potential with that as well, and some travel hazards. So you can clearly see the significant impacts here coming up as we go through later this week into this weekend here. And we're going to have this atmospheric river kind of draping down across the state as we go on through the day Wednesday. That's the initial portion of that cold front associated with that colder air moving across the Pacific Ocean. More on that here in the weather models in a moment. You can see we've got the beach hazard statements up and down the coastline for sneaker wave activity. There's some frost advisories out there, some chilly conditions, and you can see the winter weather advisories for the higher terrain at Sierra Nevada. And for Northeast California, there is some wind advisories out there as well, and some stronger winds across Nevada, especially northern Nevada here as that cold front is swooping down out of the northwest. And now looking at the wind advisory here for Northeast California. You can see southwest winds gusting to 55 and potentially to 65 for wind-prone areas, including areas along US 395. So heads up, this goes through all the way through tomorrow morning. And this is the winter weather advisory, talking about total snow 3 to 6 feet, locally higher amounts of 10 inches at the peaks, wind gusting as high as 45 miles per hour. And that does include I-80 over Donner Pass, Highway 50 over Echo Summit, for example. And this goes through tomorrow morning as well. Now, light rain and high elevation snowfall through Tuesday. The southwest California, generally light amounts here. And you can see the snow level is generally 7,000 feet, lowering to 6,000 on Tuesday. And, dusting. You're not looking at too much here, and not a lot of rainfall associated with this event coming up here. Now, looking at the winter weather advisory, this is Reno National Weather Service as well. You can kind of see those amounts across the higher terrain there. And you can see Lake Tahoe generally above 6,500, Mono above 7,000 feet there. And you can see the totals also. But if we look at Reno, they're actually also paying attention to that storm system that comes rolling in here as we go through midweek and towards the end of the week here, potentially damaging strong westerly winds, 50 plus, and some big snowfall amounts all the way down to the valley floors, and strong winds will be continuing on through the weekend coming up here. Now, I wanted to show you this as well. Look at the blizzard warning across some portions of Nevada here. Some gusty winds, and you can kind of see that sliver there where the red is actually a blizzard warning. Interesting stuff. A lot of winter weather advisories. High wind warning is in effect. Some wind advisories also. So if you're heading out across Nevada out towards Idaho or Utah, there are some pretty interesting conditions as you can see. And you can see this is for the Ruby Mountains and the East Humboldt Range until 4 a.m. tomorrow. Now, if you want a nice affordable home weather station, my kids love the one we have set up at our house here. This one is a good one. Click on that link down below to save 10% off. Stores all that data for you in the cloud. You can watch it, do 3-second updates no matter where you are. So yeah, highly recommend that one. Now, taking a look here, this is that cutoff low out here. It looks a bit more sinister. Its bark is worse than its bite. As you can see, that has been weakening for the last few days, and it does spread a little bit of light precipitation. You can kind of see the cold front dropping down, a little bit moisture starved there as well. And then we start to bring that colder air down, and you notice that cold front making its way down across the Pacific, and it starts to impact Northern California here as we go through late Wednesday night, Thursday morning. You can see that frontal system coming down across the area, and these are 6-hour chunks I'm scrolling through here, folks, and there's going to be a lot of cold air associated with that fast track from Alaska over the relatively warm Pacific Ocean and dumping some big snowfall amounts across the Sierra Nevada especially. And again, we could have some lower elevation snowfall with this towards the coastal ranges here as well. Very chilly air mass dropping down over the state as we go through next weekend, and you can kind of see it not too quickly moving also. So yeah, we got that to look forward to here, and we'll be going over those details more over the next few days as well as in this video. But I wanted to show you here, we're generally light precipitation amounts today. I just want to kind of drill this into your head here that we're not looking at a big nasty storm, nothing like what we got earlier this month. Most of that energy is out over the Pacific Ocean here, and just light amounts make it across some of the state. But then as we bring that next cold frontal system down, you can see the much bigger precipitation amounts associated with it. However, this is not favorable for those huge flooding rainfall amounts across Southern California, so you can relax on that. But you could have some local flooding conditions across some of Northern California and maybe some of the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. At least initially, when this cold front comes down, it's going to be fairly high snow levels, or at least 5,000 feet plus initially, and then that cold air comes in behind the cold front there, and we drop the snow levels and we end the flooding threat. So looking at the lightning flash density potential off the coastline as well, you can see that cutoff low. Again, its bark is worse than its bite. You see some of those strikes out there, but really not much of that expected to get inland at all. As we go through the day Tuesday, some of that moisture streaming by could kick off a lightning strike as you go through Tuesday afternoon, but as you can see, it's not much. And, maybe a thunderstorm there off the Baja coastline there. And then as it swings through Arizona, looks like it picks up and gets a bit more active here. So you can see as you're going through Wednesday afternoon, there's a thunderstorm threat for southern Arizona and maybe some portions of New Mexico as you go on into Wednesday night. Now, I want to show you here this is at 18,000 feet, I believe. Yes, it is 500 millibars. So there's that cutoff low here, kind of get picked up by that subtropical jet. There's our cold front there with the, mainly dry. It's a fairly dry frontal passage there, but it's got some light precipitation, like I mentioned, for the winter weather advisories. However, then that cold front arrives and you can really see those winds at 18,000 feet just driving down right from Alaska, right back into the coastline here into California, and big mountain snows are likely as we go through this end of this week, hopefully putting us above average for that snow water equivalent across much of the higher terrain. And if we look at the GFS here, this is going to be probably in good agreement. The models have been really good agreement here with this next system rolling in here, so you can clearly see that polar lobe taking a swing right down across the Pacific Northwest and down into the state of California. Now, this is 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. So we're looking at temperature and streamlines here. So there goes our weak frontal system now. Then you can see this very cold air pour out over the Pacific Ocean here. And that is the Pacific Ocean snowfall effect machine rolling back into the state of California. You see, again, the fast track of that cold air from Alaska right into the state of California. And when you're looking at white here, that is about average for this time of year at 5,000 feet. But when you start getting into these blues and greens, that temperature aloft is substantially below normal for this time of year, and you start getting into these purples here, and it's much below normal right there. And you can see some of that Arctic air back up across Canada as well. So this is what's going on. You bring that cold air out over the relatively warm Pacific Ocean here, and of course that warmer air below, and the moist air rises into cold air, condenses into clouds, and so it's picking up that moisture as it comes across Pacific Ocean, and then it gets lifted even further when it slams into the terrain here for the state of California. So a little diagram there I drew up this morning. Now, if we take a look at the National Blend of Models, kind of spoiled it there for you, but let's take a look. You can see this is what's falling as we go through tomorrow morning. Again, not huge precipitation amounts expected with that storm. And then as we scroll off into next week, you can see that cold front making its way down across the state and potentially bringing some to the coastal ranges even, especially for Northern California here in big amounts across the Sierra Nevada. We could get some snow for the peninsular ranges, Nevada out there, Northern Arizona, and Utah as well. I want to show you the European on that here in a moment, but I want to show you what's going on at the surface. This is 2-meter temperature. So watch Alaska, see how that cold air is bottled up there, and you can see the state of California here. There's the Pacific Ocean. So as we scroll through here, we get that cold front swinging by, but now look at that. You can see that very cold air pouring off the continent here, and when it moves over the Pacific Ocean at those lower elevations, basically right on the surface, it will be modifying, but you can see the track of that moving back into the state of California there. So that's that cold air modifies over the relatively warm Pacific Ocean and back into the state of California. So that's the surface look at the temperatures. If we look at 925 millibars, let's update that, get the 12Z data run. There it is. So if you look again at the state of California is what we're going to be watching here. You can see that cold air spilling out here as we go on in through the day Wednesday and making its way down the coastline and then including California, as you can see, as we go towards the end of the upcoming week there. So kind of an interesting look at things just off the surface at 2,500 feet. Now let's look at 10,000. So there goes our cold front. And then you can see that cold air, this polar lobe swinging down out over the Pacific Ocean. And at 10,000 feet, the moderating effects of the Pacific Ocean are much less. So that colder air, it makes its way down here without modifying nearly as much. So when this cold air aloft slams back into the Sierra Nevada here, it is very cold. And that's why we're going to get some lower snow levels when this comes rolling on in here. Now, if we look at the European, this was last night's run at 5,000 feet. We looked at this view earlier, but with the GFS, and this shows you that cold air spilling out over Alaska, and you can see the fast track from Alaska right back into the state of California. So hopefully you have a nice diagram of what is going to be ongoing as we go through the end of the week upcoming here and build some nice mountain snows. Now, looking at the European, this is last night's run, total snow 10-to-1 ratio. So there's our initial shot here, and then we wait for that cold front to come marching down the state here. And look at this. It starts to paint some of the snowfall across some of the coastal ranges here down through Southern California as well, and some big amounts across the Sierra Nevada. So yeah, should be fun stuff. We'll be breaking these details down as we go day by day upcoming here as well. And look at this Big Bear City. Check it out by Sunday. Look at the high 25. The high for this time of year is usually in the low 40s there. So you can definitely see that cold air. And of course, with any kind of elevation like that, you're going to be having that very chilly air that moves all the way across the Pacific Ocean. It doesn't get that much time to moderate because it's taking that fast track all the way from Alaska across the ocean. Now, looking at Tahoe here, there's going to be some snow flying today, and it looks like maybe there was a little bit going on last night, but they probably got some, I don't know if they're sanding the roads out there or whatnot. That resolution isn't good enough on the map there, or the picture here from Donner Summit, the webcam. But yeah, you should be getting some light snowfall across the higher terrain today, so heads up for that. There's going to be some flakes flying as we go through the day today into tomorrow morning. Here's 6 to 10 day. You can see above average for much of the west, including Southern California, as we go through Arizona and Southern Nevada there as well. And the 6 to 10 day, and you guys know why that is now, with that cold air spilling off the coast of Alaska and back into California. And it looks like we're going to be really building up on this snowpack here, and we're probably going to go above average for many locations. So very beneficial storm will be incoming here, and we'll be breaking down those details as we go through the upcoming days, and we'll try to nail down exactly what kind of snowfall amounts will be falling and what kind of snow levels we'll be dealing with. Pretty cold air aloft, and there's going to be thunderstorm potential with this as well. So anyway, yeah, pretty fun stuff out here. We got some interesting weather here across Pacific Northwest as well, and then some of this cold air is going to make its way down into California. So yeah, interesting stuff over the next few days here. Hopefully you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.